a 5-minute clock. So it's 5 minutes. Oops. There we go. Started the clock. Everything still applies. I could begin to take my eye, because I have 5 minutes, I could begin to take my eye. Notice, we just did 10, well, maybe 8 or 9. 100% blind. That means we never looked down at our paper. Now, these 5, we're going to be looking down at our paper at most 98% of the time. So and it's not like you have to time this, but about every 10 seconds, you would be allowed to look down for 2 seconds at most, and begin to get a sense of, how does this relate to here? Am I still kind of in proportion? So I can slow down my line. And I'm still looking for that negative space contour. Where my eyes are still 98% of the time on the subject. The quality of line, I still want to experiment, feel a different quality to it. Really try to make sense of, this is a major negative space here. So I want to make sure I identify the right angle, the right spacing, but ideally the right shape of it. The only way to do that is, easier way is to close one eye, flatten it, really maintain a good, slow, steady pace. The slower the better. Even if you only get down one side, that is amazing. That gets you an A+. If you finished already, I think you're going a little too fast. I give myself a little clue here at what would be the inline, a little bit of a road into the fold that I see there, but I don't want to lose myself into some of those lines. I want to stay all the way out through the perimeter, through the contour. And the slower you allow your eye to roam through every single detail, the more amazing your observation, your read of the subject will be. And obviously, immediately I see a much better proportion. Timing wise, I feel I only made one big mistake, which was not sharpening my pencil before I started it. So once I continue, I want to continue with the same without lifting my pencil. And I'm just going to continue making these lines as I follow negative space into the figure now. So I begin to see folds and lines that are taking me. It's literally like mapping it out. And again, more of these relationships as they cross over. Try not to lift your pencil. Just draw right over it, the area. If you feel like, oh, I need to move over to this side, just go ahead and draw right through it. As long as that line stays continuous, it makes for a much richer exercise. changing the value and the pressure on some of your lines, giving it that nice line quality, which we were looking for, and time. I would recommend, I labeled my whole page, but I just put a 5 minute there so you remember, and you most likely will be able to tell which one was a 5 minute compared to a 1 minute. We're going to do 5 minutes, then we're going to do 3 10 minutes, and we're going to finish with 1 15 minute. Okay, so that was number one, and I think I will fit at least 3 of them in this one page. So we're going to go to the next one. I'll give you some time if you need to flip over the page, grab a different thing. So this one, I'm going to work with charcoal pencil. Starting the clock, 5 minutes. I should steal. The approach never changes. I'm going to grab it a little bit longer, and I'm going to make this line a little bit, because there's not very pointy. And again, I just noticed I started at my usual, at the top, getting a little more sense. You need to be aware of how long you are taking your eyes away from your subject. Because the key is this: every time you take your eyes off of your subject, you lose your place. You lose the connection. So you ideally want to maintain kind of this extremely familiar. You know exactly where that map goes. You know the place, the spot that you just lifted your eyes off of. You could come right back to it. But the longer you stay away from it, the easier it is to lose not just the spot, the connection. Notice that I'm looking at how this area here relates to this one, and I see that it's a little bit higher. So I want to begin to make not just the contour drawing, but as I look down to my page, once every 10 seconds, I want to give myself extra clues by looking at different relationships as well and not making up any information. So this should identify, it kind of identifies, it gives it away a little. Lost my connection there for a second. So I'm going right back into the lines, trying to identify without thinking words, really. Face, hair, all these things that will force my brain to make up information. Now more than ever, really letting go to more of a 100% blind drawing, where I could still, because these lines are finer, they're more peculiar, very, very let's say very subtle, to really take your eyes off and then come back and regain that spot. So right now I'm 100% blind. I'm just following wherever my eyes take me here. And I did that pattern there. It works. One little glimpse, look back down, reconnect. I could look even a little closer to some of the changes in the values of what is very dark clothing here, where I could add some of these lighter areas. And my goodness, I still have a minute left. So I was going way too fast. Way too fast. But I can analyze and look at things that do make me happy and areas where, yeah, I need to slow down and I could have done better job with some quality of lines. But overall, it makes me happy. I actually see on paper what I felt and saw through my observation. And little by little, you'll gain more and more confidence, more knowledge of how you're building up to it, where you'll catch yourself and refocus yourself. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so I'm going to try something just for fun. And I'm going to go to a pen. This is a fountain pen. So this is just an ink pen. And again, this is a variety of, for those of you who like to draw with pencil, charcoal, ink, it applies to everything. 5 minutes again. This will be our third. And we're going to do, perfect. And start the clock. So with pen, we have a very, we would feel maybe it needs to be more precise. No, you actually develop a different quality of line as well. So I really love drawing with ink pens. And I have several different ones, fine liners, fountain pens, permanent ink, water soluble, all these different things you can do with different tips, different pens, nib pens, dipping pens. It never ends. And it is very, very rich and rewarding. I love drawing with ink. So to test it out, it doesn't have to be right now, but maybe next time when you watch the video and you do some of these again, do it with a medium that you didn't use previously. So this, I still am focused on keeping my eye and identifying all of the nuance, all of the little changes in angle, direction of the negative space. And in a way, you're doing both. You're looking at the positive space, negative space simultaneously and deciphering more and more precisely where that line and how it should be. I'm kind of reminding myself to go a little bit slower, and my line quality changes because when I go slower, I go 100% blind contour. But I love that line quality because it's mine. And it depends on what that level of precision you can live with. For me, it's about the feeling. The likeness, the experience of actually going through this and connecting with this subject. Now, if it's a subject you absolutely love, it might be more challenging. And here we go. We go into an area where it is very easy to unfocus because I'll let you guess why. Going into the figure now. And again, how much attention you pay to one area, or even these, for example, patterns within the figure. How you maintain your strategy of what to look at, how to look at it, how to follow, which direction your line should follow, all of this, every single decision. Not that it should become overwhelming, but kind of conscious, where you can go back and look at why you went that way. And again, sometimes we won't know. Making adjustments, I can go from one area to another, but I'm still not forgetting and still I had almost a minute left. Once again, means I'm going way too fast. So these exercises, the slower you go, the better your lines are going to be. And it is a challenge when we force our line instead of letting the line just come through. It's when we're forcing that detail that we want it to look. It's more of letting it flow instead of you pushing it.